Hello everyone, my name is James Alves, and for this presentation I'm going to be talking about free and open source software for servers. Um, I'm just going to go through the usual process of creating a server for yourself, talking about some historical features and things I learned along the way. Things I learned and also things that I got reminded of. So when you're thinking of a server, you have to think about how this server is going to communicate with the clients. I have two examples here. I have a file transfer protocol and hypertext transfer protocol. Um, One was introduced in 1971 and the other in 1997. They're old, but they were so good that we're still using them to this day. Okay, so let's think about a server. So you have a server here, and when you think of a server, that's what comes to mind. You have all these powerful computers, they're always connected to the internet. You have software such as Windows Server or any Linux distributions that you may use. And with all this complexity to have a server, sometimes you forget that a server is just a computer. So if you want it, you can have your own computer to be a server, and that's the idea that I have for this project. And I'm gonna talk about some free and easy to use software that you can use to have your own server. So Windows has some software that it's built in that is called Internet Information Services that you can use to create your own server, and you don't need to download anything, you just need to activate it. You go to the control panel, go to uninstall a program, click on turn Windows features on and off, then you search for Internet Information Services, you click there to activate, it's going to install it, and then you go to the start menu, IIS, click on it, and there you have it. You can have your own, create your site using, for example, HTTP or a FTP server, and then you can customize it with some authentication and lots of stuff. This is really interesting because I don't need to install third-party software, so it's a lot more secure. Not like how this is built in Windows. I don't need to install Windows Server anymore. And then you have the S in the protocols, you know? These days you have HTTPS because we're trying to avoid a specific thing. You know, you're Alice and you're trying to talk to Bob and you want to avoid eavesdropping on your conversation and stealing your information. So it's necessary to have security while we're trying to communicate on the internet. And then that's why you have protocols just like SSL and TLS, and they help us to encrypt our communications so our information stays private. So let's talk about the encryption that has to happen in these communications. You can ignore those symbols there. I'm gonna have some illustrations to help you understand or remember. You know, for the audience of this presentation, you might already know that, but it's good to remember. So, for example, you have Alice here, and she has a public key and a private key, and she'll talk to Bob. So she will give her public key to Bob, and then Bob has his own key, for example, for this session. He's gonna use those keys to create an encrypted message. So he's gonna encrypt his his key, his session key, with Alice's public key, and he's gonna send that to her. Then she's gonna use her private key that was not available on the internet, and she's gonna decrypt the message, and she's gonna get Bob's session key. With this key, she can create a message or send a website or anything with Bob's key, encrypt it, send it back to him, and the message is going to be available. So, and then back and forth with the same key. Doing that, you have this protection. And then to have it available on the internet, the only difference is that Alice is going to give this key to a certificate authority, and then the same back and forth is going to happen the same way. So that's really interesting. And then talking about open source software, since you don't want to and oh, I forgot. Then you have an example here on of the certificate of the BYUI website, and you can see where it came from, and then this communication is going to happen. And then you talk about paying for those certificates. It's not necessary anymore. have options just like Let's Encrypt, where you have your own very secure certificate that you can use for your own website. And then there's open source software just like WinAcme, where you can have it renew it for you with just a few clicks, so you don't need to be taking care of that as often. So thanks for watching. That was just a little intro on how to have your own server with free software.